Morning, everyone. Softball Grandpa here, rich alcoholic addict. Make my oh, there it is. Uh, today is today is Friday, March something. I'm not sure what it is. I thought it was Saturday when I woke up and turned on the news and it was Scott Reif is in the helicopter in LA. I'm going, wait a minute, he doesn't fly on the weekends. And I realized it was Friday. You know, let's talk about the topic today is morning rituals. You get up. Why get up? Put the coffee on, take my meds, feed the dogs if the dogs are with me, um, turn on the news, sit down and have my coffee. After my first cup of coffee, second cup of coffee, it kind of acts like a laxative, so it's, shit, shower, and shave. I got them shaved. You know, you can figure out what I've already done the other two. Um, but that's like a morning ritual. And then get up, go to work, blah, blah, blah. I think if we're consistent with a few things in our life, we have more stability, you know, and, and that's, and asking God for help and meaning it. And that's really important. Meaning it, asking when you ask God for help, not even help, even if you don't need help, ask Him for guidance, because, left to my own devices, I can guide myself right into a lot of trouble, and or lose a lot of money, go to the casino or doing whatever, have no restraint, But I think if you have the morning ritual and you're consistent with it, you're going to be more consistent with everything else in your life, my life, and that's just a thought for the day. It's Friday. It's a little chilly. I'm going to go to Walmart and I'm going to go to Lowe's and I'm going to work in the garage. And I told my little brother, or my younger brother, sorry, Russ, that I was going to, I wanted to get my ladder from him, my extension ladder. And he said, why? He said, because I want to check, the wood. He said, Rich, you're not going to go up on a ladder. He's probably right, but, it's my ladder. That's my life, and sometimes we take chances, not really chances, when I was working in construction as a carpenter, I'd be on, we did a job down Manhattan Beach and in the summer, and I'm out there in flip-flops and swimming trunks, a tank top, on a scaffold, nailing, siding up, you know, um, and cutting, the first, whenever I bought a skill saw, the first order of business was, take the spring out of the guard so the guard wouldn't, so I always had the guard wasn't in the way of the saw blade. I just learned to always turn to the saw to the right after I made a cut so I wouldn't cut my foot or and I got all my digits. I did trim this one once with a power block plane, but once I was we were doing an animal hospital in Ventura, and I was putting blocking in between the rafters on the roof, and for the plywood, and I was using a nail gun with 16 penny nails, and and this one block was a little loose, and I went, and the second nail missed, and it went right it came in my hand right here, and just that much of the 3.5 inch nail was sticking out. I go, oh shit, So the guy that's working with, hey Jeff, come over here. And I said, get your nail pullers. He said, yeah. He said, do me a favor. And I went like this. I said, pull the nail out of my hand. And this guy almost fainted. They found out later when I went to, and the superintendent, guess where he took me? He didn't take me to the hospital because we were building a veterinarian hospital. He took me to the vet down the street, that we were building the hospital for. And at least I didn't have to wait in line. I got to go in front of the poodles, and the guy took me in there, cleaned it with Benadryl, and says, oh, you should go to the hospital, have it x-rayed. So the second stop was the hospital. It was like on a Thursday. I think I took Friday off and went back to work on Monday. It was kind of sore. I didn't hit no bones. I was pretty lucky, you know. And one day I was working with Russ, and he came. We were doing a job in Palos Verdes, and he comes out and he's hopping, and he says he puts his foot up. He has a nail sticking out of the bottom of his boot like this much. So I took my nail pullers and I pulled it out, right, because he couldn't take his boot off. So I had to go. It was like an arrow. I had to put. And he went into the house and put some Fisoflex on it or whatever, and went back to work. We were probably smoking a little pot during those times too. Yeah, there was a lot of pot smoking. But no more. The good old days. Oh, the good old days. So they were good. Sometimes they weren't that good. Like especially when you shoot a nail in your hand. Anyway, do something for somebody else for fun or for free because you want to with no expectation in return.